Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my guest, my uncle, Andrew Barreto. Today we are covering the biggest playoff games right now. I mean, a couple of teams are down 3-1, and one just recently got eliminated. But we're going to catch you guys up right off. So, last episode on Friday, the Denver Nuggets and the OKC Thunder game was still on. That game finished in overtime. The Nuggets took game 3, 113-104. Now Saturday, May 10th, Knicks Celtics. Celtics dominated this game. They didn't collapse in the fourth quarter. They kept their 20-point lead and they ended up coming out alive. And game 3, Timberwolves Warriors. It was the Warriors' best shot of winning the game without Steph Curry this series, and they fell short. They lost 102-97. I made an Instagram, TikTok on it. You guys should go like, subscribe, and follow. It is at Game Talk from the Bench. But yeah, Warriors fall 2-1 after game 3. But we're going to get into game 4. It's Nuggets Thunder. This was a low scoring game, and Thunder get it done after going down 2-1 in the series. They dig deep and they come out with the victory. It was an all around victory. They had multiple guys in double digit scoring. Shea had 25 points. And like I said, they just got a bunch of help from other guys, Alex Caruso, Carson Wallace, Aaron Wiggins. For the Nuggets, though, I mean, only 3 points from Michael Porter Jr. He's dealing with the shoulder injury, which is causing him, obviously his offensive production, and yeah, he's playing through it. But yeah, it's not much from the Nuggets in game 4. OKC takes the game 92-87, and game 5 is underway soon, actually. But we're gonna go on to game 4 of what was it at? Game 4, Cavs Pacers. And man, I watched this game live. It was just a massacre. Pacers dominated the Cavs the whole game. I mean, I'm pretty sure they put up 81 points in the first half. I believe I was watching that right. And it was just killer. They ended up winning 129-109 over the Cavs. That game was just a blowout.
Yeah, just
But
no mercy.
yesterday, yeah,
No mercy at all. Just
no
we
mercy. I
want to
mean,
finish you
shoot.
guys.
The third strings came in with like 8 minutes left in the fourth. That's how bad it was. But yeah, but going on from yesterday, Knicks Celtics, biggest thing that came up, obviously, Knicks won this game, close game all the way down to the final stretch. Knicks take a 3-1 lead over Boston. But the biggest thing that came out of that game last night was Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. He will probably be out all of next season. And that was just huge, going down. People thought it was an ankle injury. But after seeing all the camera angles and seeing the reviews, you could totally see that it was just you saw his calf do the shake. That's like a not a famous thing, but that's the thing now people see is the calf shake. I remember seeing it with KD back in 2019 on my Warriors. I saw the calf shake and boom, that's how you knew he was done. And that's what happened last night. And he's out for the rest of the year and will probably likely be out for next year.
Wow, that is huge. I did see that today. You never know until they do the MRI, and it looks like I believe they made it official, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
and
they
he
do.
and he was trying to carry the Celtics himself. He had 42 points. Derek White had 23. Brown had 20. So I don't recall how much they were down by at the time he went down.
I want to say it was
Um,
like 6 or something.
yeah, not too bad. But yeah, it's just as soon as he goes down, that just takes everything out of a team. Your main guy, your leader, your pretty much your MVP type player gets hurt, goes down like that, and everybody seems to have that know that it's something major that could be out for of course the rest of the playoffs and then even longer. So yeah, this would be tough for them. They still got a good team, but I mean, is it enough to beat the Knicks since they're down 3-1 now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it is. Like you said, Jason Tatum was having his best game of the series so far. He had 42 points, but even then they weren't winning, and they ended up, like I said, losing this game. And I mean, there's just not getting enough offensive production from guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. But it's not enough without Jason Tatum. I mean, like I said, Obviously, was a little inconsistent in previous games, the games that they ended up losing. But this game he gave it his all. 42 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and now he's out for the year. This series is over. I don't think Boston even has a chance of winning Game 5. I think the Knicks are just gonna run away with it. And I mean, the Knicks are playing great basketball. I mean, Jalen Brunson he scored 39 points
Yeah,
himself. Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns both had 23. I mean, this team just works so well together, and time again, Jalen Brunson just leads his team through the stretch and takes them and leads them to a victory. I mean, he's just been incredible when
yeah,
when the games are close, and he just takes over.
yeah. We've said it before. He's just playing some amazing ball right now. He had 39 that game, 4 of 8 from 3-point land. Mikal Bridges, his what is it, Villanova buddy there.
Yeah,
He's been playing really good basketball this series as well. Ananobi had 20. Karl Anthony Towns, he had 23 himself. So yeah, they're playing some good basketball at the right time, and yeah, I think it's gonna be really hard for the Celtics to. There's always a chance, right? They say, hey, we still
yeah.
got. They have a home game. They're gonna be at home, the Celtics, anyways. But it's just gonna be pretty tough to overcome that, and yeah, I think the consensus is the Knicks move on.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a strange offseason for the Celtics. Like we said, Jason Tatum will be out probably all of next year, but they're also over this. I'm pretty sure it's called the luxury tax, and so big roster changes are supposed to be coming to the Celtics. Obviously, Tatum and Brown will probably still be there, but you might not see a guy like Derek White or Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, big roster moves are going to be coming to the Celtics, and it's going to be a tough year for them next year. Probably without Jason Tatum, we'll see if the Jalen Brown and company can still lead them to the playoffs. They're still a talented team. They got a great head coach in Joe Mazzulla, but yeah, it's definitely going to be not what Celtics fans are used to seeing. Next year will be a lot different for them, but it's part of the game. Obviously you don't wish an injury on a guy, but things happen, and it's unfortunate. You always want to see a guy like Jason Tatum out there on the court, even though he gets a lot of hate, when he's playing because he's always trying to be like someone else. But at the end of the day, he's a great ball player.
Yeah,
He's won a championship. He's multi-time All Star.
yeah, he's one of the best in the league. He averaged, what did he average? 26.8. I mean, he's the main guy on your team. Um, yeah, all around great player. Eight rebounds, 6 assists. It looks like his regular season stats. Um, yeah, so he will be missed, and yeah, this is the price of winning the championship is you have to go to the off season. Unfortunately, they have this is a major injury. They're going to look different, like you said. Let's see what kind of pieces they put together to just to continue to compete. Luckily for them, they're in the East, and
Yeah,
they may be able to, you know,
they still
get a
probably end up with the fifth, fourth seed next
yeah,
year.
exactly. Yeah, they may just
The
end up. I
rumors
mean,
with
who
Giannis
knows?
being traded, he'll probably come to the West. Yeah, the East is. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
they're,
gonna
they're
be.
competing with the Brooklyn Nets and the. uh, but yeah, we'll see how things work out there. But yeah, no, they have a big off season to go through.
And speaking of a big offseason, this next team might also have a big offseason. But Game 4, Warriors Timberwolves, and it looked like the Warriors had a chance to win this game. They led at half, I believe it was 60-58, and then the third quarter happened, and Minnesota took over. They went on a 17-0 run, outscored the Warriors 39-17 in that quarter. And they ended up taking this game 117-110. Another masterclass from Julius Randle, who had 31, and Anthony Edwards, who had 30. And for the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga, another great game, 23, but just not a. They just ran out of offense. In the first half they looked great. They were playing great. They were playing great defense. They were running out with the ball. Um, the defense was looking good, but then the second half came and it looked like they didn't make adjustments to what was working and what wasn't working, and they just became quiet again on offense like they have been the past previous games, and then they go scoreless for like a solid 4 minutes, and that's when the Timberwolves made the run, and then Warriors just couldn't fight back from behind.
this is another matchup where obviously the Warriors' best player, their all time scoring, 3 point, all the accolades is missing. He's not playing. He's not on the court. This it's just another one where you just like, hey, how are we going to win this? Who's the next man to step up? Unfortunately, from a Hall of Famer, and then you go down and it's
Yeah.
Kaminga trying to chipping in, or it's Butler. Nothing against them. They're good players. They're just Curry's on a different level. He's a great player. So without him, it's just an uphill battle. And Julius Randle was playing out of his mind. Actually, this whole series, he's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is just getting warmed up. I mean, he's starting to hit. He led the NBA in 3 pointers this year, and that last game. I mean, I can see how many did he hit, but he 6 of 11. But yeah, he wasn't missing. It was you start getting that feeling in your stomach, like, hey, these guys are not missing. This is not good, and we're struggling to get shots off again. Just not as easy as smooth as when number 30's in there. Everything kind of flows through him, and a little bit easier to get some shots when 2 or 3 guys go to Curry.
Yeah, like Curry makes all the difference. It just shows how valuable of a player he is when he's out there on the court. I mean, in the 13 minutes he played in game one, he had 13 points. He was looking to put up 40 points
Yeah,
in game one. Their offense looked good. They had the lead, and they were dominating game one, which is why they ended up winning, even though he went out. But like you said, he's just such a big impact. It makes the life of others easier. He gets other people wide open, and without him, they just don't have another player like that to
yeah,
get him to get shots, to create shots. I mean, like Buddy Hield, he's not a guy that can create separation that well to get him a good looking three. Obviously Jimmy could do his mid range stuff and get to the basket, but apparently Jimmy wasn't feeling the best yesterday. Only put up 9 shots compared to the 24 he put up in game three. But like you said, just the offense is just struggling out there. Like I said, in the first half they looked good, they had the lead, but in the second half they just slowly died out. They couldn't hit shots. I mean, Brandon Pajemski's still struggling. He's shooting, I believe. Remember hearing it on during the game. He was 4 for 24 from three,
it,
and it's just been rough shooting for a guy like him, guy like Gary Payton.
yeah. And these guys, the guys who are playing for the Warriors, I mean, again, they're young. The Pajetsky, this is only his second year, right? They Trace Jackson Davis, I'm sorry. Who else did they put in there? Kaminga. Compared to the Timberwolves, who are already like seasoned vets,
Yeah,
they've been to the conference. They already been to the
they were the
conference
conference
championship
finals. Yeah,
last year, so they're already knocking on that door. They're ready to take that leap, and against the Warriors, it looks like they're ready to go now. Ready to put this series to bed, especially since we got word that Curry is going to be out the
yeah, he's
next
out
game as
game
well.
five.
So we've already seen 3 games, right? And so I wouldn't expect anything different. We have a long off season. I say we Warriors have a long off season as well. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there? There's already things starting to float out there, and but yeah, I expect the Timberwolves, who are already, I believe, they're a 10.5 or 11 point favorite already for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah, I mean, unless they get a masterclass from Pajemski or Buddy Hield, it would be tough for this Warriors team to just stay in the game till the end. I mean, they've done it before, but that's when they had, Butler had 33 and Kuminga had 30. But when those guys aren't scoring, then the Warriors team is just shut down offensively, and the Timberwolves will just dominate. And like you said, obviously you wish Curry was out there, but injuries are part of the game. He's out.
Yeah,
Timberwolves probably will win Game 5 tomorrow. Obviously, as a Warriors fan, I do have some optimism that they can
yeah,
force a Game 6. Obviously, I believe in the guys. It's just sometimes it's just hard watching them struggle out there. But yeah, it's gonna be a long off season. They are in talks of maybe trying to get a guy like Giannis. Obviously they don't have a first round draft pick this year. When they traded it for Butler. But yeah, it's gonna be long off season. You only have a couple more years left. Steph Curry, you got to make the most of it. You got to prioritize his like it says, his
yeah.
health and
And
stuff
I
like that.
seen we've already seen this management, the ownership of the Warriors. they ask about LeBron. They're going to ask him. They're going to see what it takes to get Giannis. They're going to be in the talks there, like which is they've been in the talks of every big free agent since they've acquired the Warriors. And so I feel confident they're going to go see what they could put together. It may not work. They're constantly trying. That's their job, is to better the team. And yeah, around Steph Curry. I mean, Curry's not going anywhere. I know people don't want to. Oh, he's getting older. Yeah, he's getting older, but
He's still one of the
the
best in
man.
the league. Yeah,
The
still the best
man.
shooter in the league, no
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah. And I
But
know he's already older, and that's the other thing. We got what 35-year-olds, 37-year-olds on the team who are the main guys, and just the younger guy, the Kamingas, who he's had the last few games where he's played well. You got to put that all together, put it for a season, take this experience, move it towards next season, and just keep getting better, man. These younger guys, quote Quentin Post, he hasn't been playing much. We have the little struggles there with Moody. Moody's been struggling. Pajetsky's been struggling. All the young guys there, they need this tough love, I guess, that the that the
yeah,
Timberwolves are putting on them.
and they didn't go. They weren't in the playoffs last year, so this is Pajemski's first playoff
Yeah,
experience. Moody hasn't played in the playoffs, so this is like his first experience. So it's a lot of new experiences for those young guys. Like you said, the Timberwolves were just in the conference finals last year. They have a lot of experience,
yeah,
and this shouldn't be a learning experience for this Warriors team. But Ant said he wished he could have competed against Curry. He's one. Like although the respect is there. Ant was talking about how Curry helped him in the offseason with his three,
yeah,
and which is why he led the league in threes was because of Curry. And just the love he shows to Curry is just nothing but respect between him and between Anthony Edwards and Steph Curry. So it's a great sign to see. Like I said, if my Warriors have the chance of somehow coming back 3-1, I would love it. Otherwise, I'm rooting for those Timberwolves. They are a
yeah.
great team. They've been on a hot streak. They took out the number 3 seed Lakers,
Right.
and Anthony Edwards has been on a tear. He said himself. Oh wait, well I might be getting this wrong. Was it him or Wemby that said they didn't want to be the face of the league? One of them said that, but
He
Ant
said it.
just looked.
He said that
Is
too.
it Ant? Yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
it was him. I don't know if Wemby said it, but I think yeah, I did hear that
yeah,
from Anthony Edwards.
but Ant's just been. He's been unbelievable. I mean, he's got it all. He's got the flashiness. He's got the scoring, the defense, the playmaking. I mean, he's got everything it takes to be that face of the league, and I'm excited to watch him for the next 10 plus years. I mean, he's a great player. He's exciting to watch, and he's very entertaining.
Yeah, he's got all the moves, and he's been working on his 3-pointer. Um, like I was saying earlier, I had to look that up. I was like, Anthony Edwards leading the NBA in 3-pointers this year, and sure enough, he made the most, and he's just getting better. He's got the three ball. He's got all the moves inside the paint. He could bounce out of the screen of your TV there and just dunk on somebody. And what did somebody say? Scrape the sky is what one of the announcers said. And yeah, he does. He's got the full package, and yeah, it's exciting to watch. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I think yeah, he's much watched NBA TV.
Yeah, he definitely is. But we're gonna move on to Game 5 of Pacers Cavs today. Cavs at home trying to make the comeback. But man, this Pacers team is just something else. They are just unbelievable. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, 31 points. Andrew Nemhard, 18. Pascal Siakam, 21. I mean, this team, they just came up big in the end. The Cavs just couldn't hit shots. Donovan Mitchell was trying to carry his team. I was watching the end of this game. Darius Garland went out with injury, but I mean, it doesn't help when you got a guy like Max Strus scoring 0 points. But Donovan Mitchell ended up with 35, Evan Mobley at 24. Um, but man, that Pacers team, they're just such a complete team. They work so well together on both ends of the floor, and they ended up getting it done. They win in 5 games. They dominated in most of these games, and now they're in the conference finals. Look most likely going to play the Knicks, so that will be an interesting series. But yeah, the best team in the East eliminated after 5 games. What was your initial
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting for the Pacers. I don't know if they think this was an upset since they themselves they've been in the last year they were Eastern Conference Finals as well, so they have higher aspirations there of going to the finals. Um, but yeah, I don't know if the Cavaliers this is their first go at this with Donovan Mitchell and company, so I don't know if that experience played into it. But some of these games was just a good old fashioned butt whipping, and Tyrese Halliburton was the leading the team there, and just everything, just wouldn't let them lose. Um, and yeah, he's has a chip on his shoulder, like we said before. He's just like whoever wants to talk smack, I'm coming for you, and he's waving goodbye to everybody over there in Ohio.
Yeah, Cleveland, obviously, like I said, the first seed, Kenny Atkinson, coach of the year, Evan Mobley,
Yeah,
defensive player of the year. And, they were a great team in the regular season, but they did deal with some injuries. Darius Garland was out a couple of games. Um, Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter dealt with an injury mid series, and so did Donovan Mitchell. He was dealing with his ankle injury. But yeah, I mean, I just thought, the Pacers just outplayed them on every level. Especially on the 3-point shooting. I mean, the Pacers, I don't have the percentage of the whole series, but yeah, they dominated from that 3-point line in every single game. The Cavs, I mean, Donovan Mitchell was over 10 to start in like the fourth quarter from three, and then he ended up making like two. And but yeah, the Pacers like all their whole starting five can knock down a three from Tyrese Halliburton to Miles Turner. Every single one of those guys can knock down a couple threes. Andrew Nemhard, um, Pascal Siakam, Aaron Neesmith. Those guys could all knock down
there
threes,
was even
and
a game where Obi Toppin came through and he
yeah,
had over 20 points. So yeah, it's just they're pretty stacked, and their bench contributes. TJ McConnell, he doesn't show up in the stats today, but he plays some solid defense and can get you you know some assists and steals, some timely steals as well. And it looks like Mitchell, he didn't wasn't. I know he got 35, but he's shooting eight of 25, 4 of 13 from three. So it wasn't.
then he missed three big crucial free throws. He got I think they were down. They were down six. He missed three free throws, and on the trip back down, he nailed the three, and they were down three. I mean, but yeah, it's just rough. Like I said, he was trying to carry the team. He played 38 minutes. You could tell he was tired. You could tell he was in pain and in agony. But
Yeah,
Pacers just outclassed them, and now they're moving on. And it's gonna be a good series. Obviously, the Knicks still have to win tomorrow in order to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
they still
But
have to win, but that's going to be if
that's
it
gonna be
pans out the way we're saying it.
the
That
third
is,
seed versus the fourth seed. It'll be a different series, something we haven't seen in a while.
yeah, it'd be nice.
But right now, Game 5 between Nuggets Thunder is live. Series is tied 2-2. It's the second quarter with 8 minutes left. Nuggets are up 35-33. Tomorrow, like I said, we have Game 5 and Knicks Celtics. Knicks up 3-1. And Game 5 for Warriors Timberwolves. Timberwolves are up 3-1. So possibility that two teams tomorrow will get eliminated. Um, but the next thing I want to talk about is the controversy over the NBA draft. The NBA draft was the other day, and obviously there's the Eastern Conference is obviously a much less competitive conference than the West. And you think as an NBA commissioner, you try to fix that, right? Obviously I'm not saying rig the draft for the Eastern Conference teams, but there was a lot of teams in the East that were struggling that didn't end up getting a top 2 pick. I mean, the Washington Wizards were the worst team, if not one of the worst teams in all of the NBA. They ended up with the sixth pick. The Dallas Mavericks that were in the
Jeez.
playing game won the coin toss against the Bulls. Bulls ended up getting pick 12,
Yeah,
and then with the 1.8% chance, the Dallas Mavericks got the first overall pick
I
after
don't
they
know.
traded Luka Doncic. They ended up getting the first overall pick, and now they will have Cooper Flag. I mean, how much of an inside job is that right there? That's just like they're not even trying to hide it at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. They've had this kind of talk in the past. San Antonio Spurs. They said that they mailed in a season to get Tim Duncan and team him up with David Robinson. We've heard that kind of stuff before, but I, yeah, I don't know. I would assume it's pretty hard to do. I mean, these are just a bunch of balls juggling around. It is a lottery, so it's like whichever ball comes out is this is yeah, 1.8 chance. That's just crazy. And yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it went to the wrong team. How about that? This
Yeah,
is Nico
definitely.
Harris. I'm surprised he's not already fielding trade offers already for the number one pick. I mean,
Yeah.
he's maybe that's also karma for them for hey, here you go, fan base. You guys got screwed this year. Here's your first pick. I don't know.
But even like you said, the San Antonio Spurs, like the Spurs weren't. They were a bad team this year. Obviously, they dealt with Wemby injury and De'Aaron Fox, but they were a good enough team. But they still ended up with the second overall pick. And it's like the Phillies,
Yeah.
also 76ers were worse. The Charlotte Hornets were worse. The Utah Jazz were worse. The Wizards were worse. The Pelicans were worse. And it's just, I don't know. Do you think the NBA should get rid of the lottery and just go by records, like standings?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just they've talked about that before too. This is just something they've had for what seems like forever, ever since I've been alive. um, yeah, it's kind of like just the luck of the draw, and the teams with the worst records, quote unquote, get the higher percentage. They get the most balls in the draft and in the lottery. It just didn't work out. It does look really bad. Wizards, who were horrible, pick number
They
six,
won
and
15 games all of this past season.
who was it? Them and the Jazz, who had the
Legit.
highest odds, right?
Yeah. But I mean,
Uh,
like the
yeah.
Dallas Mavericks have obviously Kyrie's coming out for torn ACL.
Mm.
He's probably gonna join midway through the year. They still have Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson. They traded away Luca. They don't reserve to get Cooper Flag after trading away Luca.
Yeah.
And if they get
Yeah.
and and the problem is if the Dallas Mavericks were in the East, wouldn't be a problem. But they're in the Western Conference, just like I said. The San Antonio Spurs get the second pick. They already have Wembanyama. They got Chris Paul. They got De'Aaron Fox and they get the second overall pick. It's like the Western Conference is already so stacked.
Yeah.
They need to level up, and Giannis is probably going to get traded to the Western Conference. It's
Probably.
like they gotta help out. They gotta fix this Eastern Conference because right now it doesn't matter. It looks like any team in the West is gonna beat any team in the East in the finals. It's like the Wizards and Hornets should have had the top two picks. I mean, those teams have been bad for years consecutively, and I don't think either of them have gotten the number one pick. You know,
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're going to get any help anytime soon because, unless there's some game changer at number six for the Wizards. Um, yeah, I'm looking at they have the 14% chance. Charlotte Hornets, too. I mean, they need help. Shoot, I can't even think. Besides LaMelo, I can't even think of another Hornet player right now. Um, I know they had a high pick last year as well. I can't draw a brand. I think it was Brandon Miller or something
yeah,
like that.
Brandon Miller, he's a pretty good player, but I mean,
Yeah,
and it doesn't help that they can't get these big name players. I mean, they still have good draft picks, the top six picks, but it's not these big name guys that other free agents want to play for, and obviously that does have to deal with ownership. Ownership's obviously got to step up, make some trades, make some sign some players to possibly overpay. But man, it's just a big problem in the league. The West has always been tougher than the East, and the draft doesn't help. Like the 76ers, obviously they dealt with injury with Paul George and Joel Embiid, but they still have Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. And now they have the third pick. It's like, man, it's just
my
tough. It's tough
my
for a team
son
like
made a joke and said maybe this was Nico Harris's plan. This is what he was talking about.
yeah,
Get rid of
maybe. I
Luca,
mean,
get the first pick. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
it's a joke, but we'll see. I mean, like you said, the Spurs, yeah, they can attract some free agents this off season. I mean, they got Wimby, they're gonna have the number 2 pick. You Darren Fox, right? I think CP3's, I think he's still there. Um, but they have some players there, and if they attract another free agent, and who knows? They could again turn that around and get back right back to being competitive.
Yeah, they got,
76ers, yeah, they were already good as it is. Now they get the third pick. Um, yeah, it reminds me of the Warriors had the number 2 pick, right? Just not long ago. Was that 2019?
yeah, they drafted
Or
James Wiseman, and it
yeah, they
was
drafted James
tough
Wiseman.
pick.
The Warriors are doing okay. I don't remember everything about why they got that number 2 pick. I can't remember if they traded up or they had the first pick and then they traded
That
up.
was the year that was 2019, the year after they lost in the finals. KD was gone. Clay tore his ACL, was out for the year, and then Curry broke his hand and was out most of the year. I
Yeah,
was watching guys like Kai Bowman, Eric Pascal. I was watching a rookie Jordan
Eric
Poole.
Pascal. Yeah,
That's when they traded D'Lo for Andrew Wiggins. So yeah, that was a rough year. Yeah, they had the second pick, and they deserved the second pick for a reason. They just misdrafted there. But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't help that these Eastern Conference teams that are probably worse than all the Western Conference teams are getting just not the top three picks, and it's just rough. It's rough, and like I said earlier, I mean, I don't know how the team that has a 1.8% chance to get that first pick that deserves probably pick 14 ended up with the first overall pick, but
this is another reason why the Celtics still are going to have a chance to be a high seed, in the playoffs
yeah.
next year without Tatum because the Hawks are getting no help, the Bulls are getting no help, Wizards are getting no help. So well, yeah, it's something else, but uh,
Yeah, I've seen the thing was like if you trade your superstar, you get the first overall pick. Um, it was like not Spurs. It was Pelicans traded CP to LA. Boom, they got the first overall pick. They got Anthony Davis. They traded Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Boom, they got the first overall pick.
oh my goodness.
There was a couple,
Oh wow, okay, I didn't see it.
The Mavericks traded Luca. Boom, they got the first overall pick. And there was also a couple other ones that I can't think of the top of my head. And I saw a thing it was like if the Milwaukee Bucks trade the Giannis. Boom, they'll get the first overall pick
Oh,
next year.
for
So
sure.
but yeah, it's just it's a tough situation. Obviously it brings up a lot of controversy, but yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the biggest question is should they get rid of the lottery and just go by, the standings, which obviously I think makes the most logical sense.
We'll
They're the
see. I
only,
mean,
yeah,
you know, I'm sure it's always going to be a conversation, and they have to have those meetings and vote and all that good stuff. So it hasn't been done yet. I mean, I don't know if maybe there'll be enough hoopla this year to bring it up and talk about that. Um, I'm okay with it the way it is. I mean, it's just been like that as long as I can remember. But yeah, like you said, like not basketball, but football is off of record, right? Um, even WNBA is off of record, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it is off based off record. It's
It's
like
just
it feels like the only organization that does is the NBA, but
yeah.
it is what it is. But
Yeah,
yeah,
they make it a big thing now. Everybody's gets invited to I don't know where they hold it, but all this the number 1 pick. I remember Zion was there, Cooper Flag was there last night, and a lot of people are sending the representatives. I think you start seeing some players that are representing their team, and Mavericks had old school guy Rolando Blackman. He was an old school player, let's say in the '80s. Yeah, he was a good player, but yeah, they lucked out. They hit the lottery. How about that?
yeah, they're gonna have a good team next year, especially when Kyrie comes back and if Anthony Davis is healthy. But we'll just have to wait and see. But that'll be all for today. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. I'd like to thank my guest, my uncle, for joining in with me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We're also on Spotify, YouTube. And until next time, stay ready.